Most people collapse long before life applies real pressure, not because reality is merciless, but because their minds lack structure. They surrender control to emotion, let opinion sculpt identity, and allow fear to dictate movement. When strain arrives, they fracture. Machiavelli saw this pattern clearly. He understood that strength is not softness and mercy is not mastery. The most powerful mind is not the most compassionate, but the most governed. He believed the mind is a throne. If you do not occupy it fully, another will rule in your place. Mental invincibility is not an accident. It is built deliberately through restraint, detachment, and calculation. The world will attempt to fracture you through rejection, betrayal, and failure. Most people surrender. You are here because you are done allowing impulse to steer your life. You want command over reaction, focus, and inner stillness, like a sovereign who rules quietly yet absolutely. Ask yourself now, who commands your thoughts? Because that answer determines your future. If emotion governs you, you will always be prey. If you govern emotion, you become unreachable. From this moment, think with strategy, not sentiment. Observe rather than react. Let discipline shield you and silence defend you. Once the mind is ruled, peace becomes untouchable. Power begins with perception. How you are seen determines how you are treated, trusted, and challenged. Machiavelli understood that truth does not rule the world. Appearance does. People do not see intention. They respond to presentation. They do not analyze depth. They react to image. In a culture driven by perception, whoever controls the story controls reality. You may be intelligent, capable, formidable. But if you allow others to frame you, you surrender authority before conflict begins. Truth alone will not protect you. It is often quiet, ignored, dismissed. The world responds to what it observes repeatedly. People judge value before words are spoken. Strength is assessed through posture, calm, restraint, mystery. Uncertainty invites attack. Composure creates hesitation. Mental invulnerability requires authorship over perception. Shape how silence is interpreted. Let action speak while explanation remains absent. Over-explanation is surrender. Stillness is louder than defense. Let assumptions form. Let curiosity grow. Ignorance in others is leverage for you. Every space holds an unspoken contest for dominance. The noisy seek attention. The disciplined seek control. When you enter, do not announce. Presence communicates before language. Authority is felt before it is understood. Every pause transmits certainty. Validation is unnecessary. Precision is everything. When perception bends, reality follows. Calm suggests strength even in turmoil. That illusion alone protects more than argument ever could. Reputation is the base of influence. Appear composed when unsure, unmoved when pressured. Control tone, gaze, pace. Silence should outweigh noise. When labeled, do not protest. Rewrite through action. When underestimated, let outcome respond. Control is not deception, it is direction. Ownership of image is ownership of destiny. Emotion is the simplest tool used to dominate minds. Once anger, fear, or sadness can be triggered, control is lost. Machiavelli observed that emotional minds are predictable, and predictability invites manipulation. Detachment is not coldness. It is concealed strength. It allows chaos to be observed without internal invasion. When detached, energy stops bleeding toward provocation. Reaction is replaced with intention. Most people equate emotional display with authenticity. In truth, uncontrolled feeling is exposed vulnerability. Fast reactions reveal weak points. Those points are pressed again and again. Manipulation thrives on access, not force. Detachment removes access. Feeling remains, dominance ends. Pain can be felt without drowning. Betrayal acknowledged without collapse. You are not emotion. You are the observer. Emotion is weather, temporary, loud, passing. Stillness is command. Calm unsettles because it cannot be read. What cannot be read cannot be controlled. One explodes at insult and loses ground. Another remains silent and wins without effort. That is mastery. Emotion must serve purpose or be restrained. If it strengthens position, deploy it. If it weakens stance, silence it. Detachment clarifies vision. Patterns replace problems. Personalization dissolves. Clarity emerges. With it comes quiet victory. Betrayal is not anomaly, it is structure. Loyalty lasts only while convenient. Expecting permanence invites shock. Preparation prevents devastation. Strategy must replace trust. Promises fail. Systems endure. Betrayal reveals data, not tragedy. It exposes priorities, motives, instability. Strategic minds do not rely on devotion. They rely on design. Dependence creates fragility. Structure creates autonomy. Build plans that function even in abandonment. Never allow a single individual to hold your peace hostage. Expecting betrayal is not paranoia, it is foresight. Denial is what destroys. Anticipation protects. When loyalty fades, composure remains. Awareness replaces bitterness. Care becomes selective. Gates replace open doors. Alert, not angry. Prepared, not wounded. The one who anticipates betrayal never kneels to it. Calmness is the most intimidating strength in disorder. While others react, the composed observe. Stillness unnerves the impulsive. It mirrors their instability. Calm exposes panic without accusation. Reaction surrenders leverage. Restraint takes it. Appear tranquil. Think precisely. Move deliberately. Do not reveal tension. Mystery sustains power. The unshaken cannot be dominated. Silence paired with patience bends the environment. Control is not speed. It is timing. Appear peaceful. Remain calculating. Let others reveal themselves through noise. Stillness becomes armor. Silence is concentrated authority. Speech leaks information. Information enables prediction. Prediction enables control. Silence preserves mystery. Mystery creates dominance. When you speak less, others imagine more. Assumption breeds fear. Fear grants leverage. Justification hands authority to others. Silence rejects judgment entirely. Observation replaces defense. Listening exposes strategy. Talking reveals it. The quiet presence commands space without effort. Words gain weight through rarity. Precision replaces volume. Silence is not weakness. It is restraint refined into power. Absence magnifies value. Constant presence breeds familiarity. Familiarity dulls respect. Scarcity restores weight. Strategic withdrawal fuels curiosity and authority. The accessible are overlooked. The selective are sought. Absence tests loyalty and clarifies alignment. Distance sharpens perception. Visibility is managed, not constant. Disappear without announcement. Return with intention. Let absence speak louder than presence. What is rare is valued. What is distant is respected. All power begins in the mind. Without internal command, external success decays. Thought discipline determines destiny. Focus is sovereignty. Anxiety is abdication. Mastery is internal. Control thought and reaction follows. Rule the mind and circumstance loses leverage. When the inner world is governed, the outer world obeys. When you begin to rule your mind, you stop living at the mercy of impulses. Most people mistake constant motion for progress, but uncontrolled movement only creates exhaustion. The disciplined mind moves less and achieves more. It does not chase stimulation or approval. It chooses direction. Machiavelli understood that distraction weakens authority. A ruler who cannot govern his own attention will never govern others. Your thoughts must be trained like soldiers. They obey command or they are removed. Fear, doubt, and overthinking are not emotions to entertain. They are intruders to be expelled. Each time you resist an impulsive reaction, you strengthen internal command. Over time, the mind stops rebelling and starts serving. This is where real power begins. Once control is established internally, you notice a shift in how others respond. People sense order before they understand it. They feel structure in your presence. They speak more carefully. They hesitate before testing you. This is not intimidation through force. It is authority through alignment. When your words, posture, and restraint match, credibility becomes automatic. You no longer need to assert dominance. It is assumed. Those who rely on volume and aggression lose influence quickly. The controlled mind outlasts them all. Observation becomes your primary weapon. While others rush to speak, you study patterns. You notice who seeks attention, who hides insecurity behind confidence, who reacts emotionally under pressure. Information accumulates quietly. Every interaction becomes data. This awareness allows you to move ahead without confrontation. You do not need to expose weakness when you can simply outmaneuver it. The silent observer always knows more than the loud participant. With observation comes patience. Patience is misunderstood as passivity, but it is restraint in service of timing. Impatient minds reveal strategy too early. They act before conditions are favorable. They announce intention and invite resistance. Patience allows others to reveal themselves. It lets circumstances ripen. When action finally comes, it appears sudden and overwhelming because preparation was invisible. This is how influence is built without friction. Emotional discipline deepens at this stage. Insults lose their effect. Praise no longer inflates ego. Approval and rejection become noise rather than signals. When others attempt provocation, they are met with neutrality. This neutrality is unsettling. People expect reaction. Without it, they lose leverage. They escalate, exposing more of themselves. You remain unmoved. The exchange ends in your favor without effort. As detachment strengthens, you become selective with energy. Not every battle deserves engagement. Not every opinion deserves acknowledgement. Discernment replaces impulse. You choose where to invest attention and where to withdraw completely. This selectivity refines your environment. Weak influences fall away. Meaningful connections remain. Your circle becomes smaller but stronger. Quality replaces quantity. Influence becomes concentrated. Reputation begins to shift naturally. You are no longer seen as reactive or accessible. You are perceived as deliberate. People speak about you differently when you are not present. Words like steady, controlled, unpredictable begin to surface. This reputation protects you. Fewer challenges arise because resistance feels futile. When challenges do come, they are cautious. The tone changes. Respect replaces familiarity. Silence continues to work in your favor. In conversations, you allow pauses to linger. Others rush to fill them. They reveal priorities, insecurities, intentions. You listen without interruption. Your responses are brief and measured. This economy of words gives them weight. When you do speak, people lean in. They assume importance because silence preceded it. You never compete for attention. Attention comes to you. Absence becomes another layer of strategy. You do not appear everywhere. You do not respond instantly. Time is treated as a resource, not a liability. This creates anticipation. When you arrive, presence is felt. When you leave, absence is noticed. People adjust their behavior to regain access. This adjustment is respect disguised as courtesy. Internally, confidence stabilizes. It no longer depends on external confirmation. It is rooted in self-command. You trust your judgment because it is disciplined. Decisions are made without apology. You no longer explain yourself to those who have not earned understanding. This refusal to over-explain reinforces authority. Boundaries become clear without being announced. When setbacks occur, they are processed differently. Instead of emotional collapse, there is analysis. What failed? Why it failed? What changed? Setbacks become instruction rather than identity. You adapt without drama. Others notice this resilience. They see that disruption does not shake you. This steadiness builds long-term credibility. People rely on what does not fluctuate. Gradually, you become less visible yet more influential. Your name carries weight even when you are not present. Decisions made in your absence still consider your reaction. This is quiet power. It does not demand recognition. It commands adjustment. Those who once ignored you now calculate you. This phase requires restraint. The urge to display growth must be resisted. Broadcasting strength invites opposition. Quiet consolidation preserves it. Let others underestimate. Let them misread silence as weakness. That miscalculation becomes advantage. When strength is finally revealed, it feels disproportionate because preparation was hidden. You now operate from internal authority rather than external validation. The world no longer dictates your emotional state. Pressure refines rather than breaks you. Chaos becomes background noise. Focus sharpens. Strategy replaces impulse. At this stage, you are no longer reacting to life. You are positioning within it. The disciplined mind does not rush toward outcomes, it shapes conditions. It understands that influence is built through consistency, not spectacle. Others burn out chasing attention. You conserve energy and endure. This endurance becomes intimidating. While others fluctuate, you remain constant. That constancy is power. At this level, peace is not fragile. It is enforced. Nothing enters without permission. Thoughts are filtered. Emotions are managed. Interactions are chosen. You are no longer accessible to manipulation because there is nothing to grab onto. The mind is ordered. The throne is occupied. As control becomes instinctive, you stop announcing intention and start shaping outcomes. People who live reactively chase moments. You begin to create them. Influence shifts from effort to gravity. Others adjust without being asked. Conversations bend toward your pace. Decisions slow down around you. This is not coincidence. It is the effect of internal order expressed externally. When your mind is structured, the world responds in kind. You learn to let others underestimate you. Underestimation is a strategic gift. It lowers defenses and reveals ambition. Those who believe you are passive show their hand too early. They speak freely. They test boundaries casually. You observe without correction. Information gathers quietly. When you finally move, it feels sudden because no one saw preparation. Surprise becomes leverage. This is how quiet minds dominate loud ones. You also learn restraint in victory. Winning loudly invites resentment. Dominating openly creates resistance. The controlled mind understands when to withdraw after success. You let outcomes speak without commentary. You take what is needed and leave the rest untouched. This discipline preserves momentum. Power grows when it is not flaunted. Those who display it constantly lose it just as fast. Emotional neutrality deepens further. Praise is received without attachment. Criticism passes without friction. You no longer identify with outcomes. You identify with process. This detachment protects clarity. When something fails, ego does not interfere. When something succeeds, arrogance does not cloud judgment. Balance remains intact. This balance is rare and therefore respected. You become precise with relationships. Proximity is no longer automatic. Access is earned through consistency. Those who drain energy are phased out without conflict. Those who add value are retained without dependency. Loyalty is appreciated but never assumed. Expectations are replaced with observation. Trust becomes conditional and revisable. This flexibility keeps you adaptable while others remain rigid. Communication becomes deliberate. You no longer speak to be understood. You speak to be effective. Words are chosen for impact, not comfort. Silence is used to test reactions. Timing becomes more important than volume. You understand that saying less often communicates more. Others begin to mirror your restraint. The environment shifts subtly. Interactions become calmer. Chaos recedes. Pressure situations reveal your advantage. While others rush to respond, you slow down. This pause unsettles them. They expect urgency and find stillness instead. In that stillness, mistakes are made by those who cannot tolerate uncertainty. You wait until the moment is right. Action, when taken, is clean and final. There is no second guessing because analysis preceded movement. You also learn when not to act. Not every opportunity is worth pursuing. Selectivity becomes strength. By refusing certain paths, you reinforce the value of the ones you choose. Scarcity of action increases impact. People notice when you engage because it is rare. Your involvement signals importance. Absence signals standards. Internally, discipline tightens. Habits are refined. You eliminate behaviors that dilute focus. Sleep, movement, solitude, and reflection become non-negotiable. These are not rituals for appearance. They are maintenance for clarity. The mind remains sharp because the body and environment support it. You treat your internal state as infrastructure. Fear loses relevance. It may appear, but it no longer dictates behavior. Fear becomes information rather than command. You acknowledge it, assess risk, and proceed deliberately. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to obey it. This refusal compounds over time. Confidence becomes grounded rather than performative. You also stop seeking closure. Closure is a luxury for those who need emotional resolution. You accept ambiguity. Not every story needs an ending. Not every betrayal needs explanation. Moving forward becomes more important than understanding why. This forward orientation keeps momentum intact. You do not linger where progress has ended. Authority begins to follow you naturally. People seek your input without invitation. They wait for your response before acting. This is not because you demand it, but because consistency has earned it. You are seen as stable. Reliability becomes your signature. In unstable environments, stability becomes leadership. You learn to manage visibility with intent. Sometimes you step forward to anchor situations. Other times you withdraw to let others reveal capability. This modulation of presence keeps you indispensable without being overexposed. People cannot replace what they cannot fully access. Mystery remains intact. Your mind now operates from principle rather than impulse. Decisions align with long-term positioning rather than short-term comfort. You accept temporary discomfort in exchange for durable advantage. Others avoid pain and sacrifice leverage. This difference compounds. Over time, gaps widen. When conflict arises, you do not escalate. You de-escalate through composure. Calm responses disarm aggression. Refusal to engage emotionally deprives opponents of fuel. Most conflicts require two participants. You become unavailable for unnecessary battles. This selectivity preserves strength for moments that matter. The world begins to reflect your internal order. Problems become simpler. Choices become clearer. You move with intention rather than urgency. Others sense this and adjust their expectations. They no longer rush you. They no longer pressure you. The frame has shifted. You are no longer building power, you are maintaining it. Maintenance requires vigilance. Complacency invites decay. You continue observing, refining, withdrawing, and acting with precision. Growth becomes quiet and continuous rather than explosive. This sustainability is what separates temporary influence from lasting authority. At this stage, peace is no longer fragile. It is defended through boundaries, discipline, and detachment. Nothing external is allowed to dictate internal state. You have become self-referencing. Standards are internal. Validation is irrelevant. Control is assumed. The mind now functions as intended. It is no longer reactive. It is directive. The throne is secure. The noise of the world fades into background texture. You move forward not because you are driven, but because you are aligned. Eventually, you stop measuring strength by resistance and start measuring it by alignment. Life no longer feels like a series of battles to win. It becomes a terrain you move through with awareness. You recognize which fights sharpen you and which only drain attention. Choosing not to engage becomes as important as choosing when to strike. This discernment is the final refinement of control. Your identity stabilizes. You are no longer fragmented by context. The same mind governs you in solitude and in crowds. This coherence generates trust without effort. Others sense that you are not performative. You do not adjust your core to match expectations. Consistency becomes intimidating because it cannot be influenced. What cannot be influenced must be respected or avoided. You stop rehearsing explanations in your head. You stop justifying decisions to invisible audiences. Internal dialogue simplifies. Thoughts move in straight lines. This mental efficiency frees energy. Focus deepens. Time feels slower because attention is no longer scattered. You are present by default. When setbacks occur, you absorb them without drama. Loss becomes feedback. Delay becomes recalibration. Nothing feels personal. You stopped framing events around ego long ago. Perspective remains wide. This prevents collapse. While others spiral, you adapt. Adaptation compounds. Your standards become quiet laws. You do not announce them. You live them. Those who violate them experience consequences without debate. Those who respect them gain proximity. This silent enforcement creates order. Order creates calm. Calm attracts opportunity. You no longer confuse intensity with urgency. You work with depth rather than haste. Precision replaces speed. Fewer moves produce greater effect. This efficiency is misunderstood by those who equate effort with value. You let them misunderstand. Misinterpretation keeps attention away from what matters. Your emotional range narrows in expression but deepens in awareness. You feel everything without broadcasting anything. This privacy protects you. The world cannot weaponize what it cannot access. Your inner state becomes sovereign territory. You stop narrating your journey. Progress happens without announcement. Achievements are folded into routine. This prevents stagnation. When success is treated as identity, growth stops. You treat it as process. Process continues. You become comfortable with solitude, not as escape, but as calibration. Solitude clarifies motives. It reveals distractions. It restores hierarchy of values. Time alone becomes strategic rather than reactive. You return to the world sharper. Your presence changes rooms. Not through dominance, but through stability. People slow down near you. Conversations ground themselves. This effect is not forced. It emerges naturally from internal order. Others borrow your calm because they lack their own. You stop seeking mentors and start extracting lessons from observation. Every interaction becomes data. You learn more by watching than by asking. Questions become internal. Answers become experiential. Wisdom accumulates quietly. You develop patience with outcomes. Timelines stretch without frustration. You understand leverage takes time. Rushing weakens position. Waiting strengthens it. You allow situations to mature. When you act, conditions favor you. You stop romanticizing struggle. Difficulty is no longer proof of virtue. Ease achieved through mastery becomes acceptable. Efficiency is not laziness. It is intelligence applied. You conserve effort for moments that matter. Your reactions become optional. You choose them deliberately. This choice is power. Most people react automatically. You respond selectively. This separation defines authority. You no longer explain silence. Silence stands on its own. Those who understand stay. Those who demand noise leave. The environment self-selects. Alignment increases. You stop expecting recognition. Work speaks. Presence speaks. Silence speaks. Recognition arrives or it does not. Neither alters direction. Independence from outcome stabilizes momentum. Your mind is no longer crowded. It is ordered. Thoughts arrive, are evaluated and dismissed or integrated. Nothing lingers without purpose. This mental hygiene sustains clarity. You accept impermanence. Relationships change. Positions shift. Phases end. Attachment loosens, adaptability increases. You flow without losing form. You stop fearing loss. Loss refines. What remains after loss is essential. Essentials are manageable. You build from there. You do not chase meaning. Meaning emerges from alignment. When actions match principles, purpose is implicit. Doubt fades. You are no longer reactive to disrespect. You withdraw access. This teaches without words. Patterns correct themselves. Your discipline becomes invisible. No one sees the internal negotiations you have already won. Outcomes appear effortless. Effort is hidden. You stop comparing trajectories. Comparison distorts judgment. Your path is specific. You honor it by staying present. You no longer anticipate validation. Approval is irrelevant. Respect follows structure. You maintain structure. Your decisions simplify. Yes and no become clear. Ambiguity decreases, clarity increases. You become difficult to manipulate because you are not emotionally dependent. Needs are minimal. Wants are controlled. Independence expands. You stop living in anticipation. You act when aligned. Waiting becomes productive. You recognize when to end chapters. Endings are clean. No residue remains. Space opens. Your confidence is quiet. It does not announce itself. It is felt. You are no longer seeking control. You are exercising it naturally. The mind remains sovereign. Nothing external defines you. You move forward intact.